Hi guys, it's Nicki. I am coming to you with the Handmaid's Tale Season 1, Episode 6 called First Blood. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining. If you are a returned watcher of the channel, thank you so much, especially like all of the comments for Handmaid's Tale. It looks like y'all feel no sympathy or empathy for Serena Joy from just watching the reading the comments and everything. So let's get into this one. It's called First Blood, and it starts out with June being in the hospital. And from last week, you know, she's in the hospital, and the doctor is there, and he's checking up on her for her pregnancy. So then he asks her, you know, did she have any problems with her first pregnancy? And she says with Hannah, because she's not going to let them act like Hannah does not exist. And he said with your first pregnancy. Now, we all know that the doctor, he's not really into this or whatever. You know, he's just doing what he has to do. So he tells her with your first pregnancy. And she says, no, everything was fine. Actually, 2 weeks, she had the baby 2 weeks early. He says that's not bad. And so then he tells Serena Joy, you know, she'll be okay, you know, from the hemorrhage and everything. But he also lets Serena Joy know she has to have a peaceful household. And so this is someone else telling Serena Joy, if you want this baby, you know, you can't stress her out like this. But so then Serena Joy asks June, would you like to see the baby on the sonogram and everything? And so she tells her yes. Oh, that's my pillow. Okay. She tells her yes, she wants to see the baby. And so they look at the baby, and June is like, the baby's doing somersaults. And it's just, Serena Joy is happy because she's seeing that as she's gonna be a mother. June is happy and sad because she's seeing that, you know, she's happy to have a baby, but she's also sad because she's thinking, I don't want to give my baby to her. So then the next scene we go to is Serena Joy and June come home, and Serena Joy tells Rita to make June that green smoothie that June's been drinking. And June says no because it's hard for her to keep that down. Like, that upsets her. And she apologizes, you know, I'm sorry if, you know, for saying something, but it just upsets her. And Serena Joy, she's so overly happy and wants June to feel peaceful that she's like, no, that's fine. What about soup? And so June agrees to the soup. So she tells Rita to make her some. And then she tells June, you'll be in the sitting room from now on because you shouldn't be climbing those stairs or everything. So then June goes to Nick's wife Eden is there, and she's just looking at June because y'all know this little girl, all she thinks about is a baby. So she's looking at June and everything, and Rita tells her, you know, if you're gonna help in the kitchen, then start cutting the vegetables for the soup. So then we cut to June is in the sitting room, and she's looking out the window, and you know, I guess she's content with being there. And Nick comes in, and he's checking on her, and you could see like the intimate relationship they've developed, and how they like each other. And so he tells her that she scared him, and she says, I scared myself. And he then tells her that, you know, are you going to be in the sitting room? And she's like, yeah, that's she made me an offer I can't refuse. And so he tells her that he's going to come down and start, you know, he's going to come visit her at night. And she said, what about your, you know, wife? What's her bedtime? Because she's very young. And Nick is like, you know, I didn't have a choice in that. And she just tells him, you know, you're married. And he's pretty much, but he tells her that he thinks about them being together, like just the three of them, you know, raising the family. And she said she thinks about he shouldn't think about that, but she thinks about it as well. And so they're really close, and they're holding hands, and Rita comes in with the soup. And so Rita is just like, here's the soup that was ordered. You know, pretty much I don't know how they didn't hear Rita coming, because I heard the footsteps. But she's pretty much telling them, hey, break this up. And so June tells Rita, I'm sorry you're having to do all this. And Rita's just like, it's okay, whatever. And Nick tells June tells Rita, that it smells good. Can I have, where's mine? And she said, ask your wife. So, like, Nick, you got a whole wife. You can't be doing this all in public. So then they laugh when Rita leaves. They like share a smile. So because they know Rita knows what's going on, but she's not saying anything. And plus, I like that the relationship between Nick and June, but I cannot wait till this comes to a head with Luke, Nick, because I'm messy like that. So when all this goes down, I cannot wait for that episode. So then we cut to Commander Waterford. And Aunt Lydia goes to Commander Waterford. Now, mind you, anytime Aunt Lydia speaks to Commander Waterford, something's going to go down in the episode that pertains to whatever she's speaking to him about. So this time, she was talking to him about that, handmaids and wives always have a difficult time, but yours are really strong-willed. So you're having a really difficult time with yours. And he says he tries to just stay out of it, let them work it out. And she lets him know, like, that's cool and all. I'm paraphrasing. That's cool and all, but at some point, you might have to step in on this. That's what she pretty much like. You can't lay back and let them just go at it like this. That's not good for the baby. So he hears what she has to say, and then he goes up the stairs, and there are other commanders. Andrew is there, which I realized that Andrew was the commander from the last time, who gave, when in the first season when Nick was going, he recruited Nick into Gilead, anyways, into the Eye. So then Commander Waterford goes to Andrew, and they're building the Rachel and Leah Center, which is going to convert these women into handmaids. And it's going to be huge because the building is huge. Anybody know what building that is? So they're going to convert these women into handmaids there, and they're having a conference which will bring all of the commanders to the building. And they're worried that this building will not be ready on time. And he was like, no, 2 days is plenty of time. It'll be ready. So that's that whole thing. So then June is... so then Nick is eating his, I guess, soup that... whatever he's eating, that his wife has made. And so they're in their home. And, he's telling her it was really good. And she's talking about the rosemary and the potatoes and all this kind of stuff. He doesn't want to hear all this. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he's already told her the food is really delicious. And so she says, I got the recipe from my mom. And he said, that must be really hard not being with your family. And she said, you are my family now. So that should, like, warning bells that she is all into Gilead. She's a believer from, head to toe. And so then... she tells Nick that he was going to get up and put his dishes up, clean his plate, and she says, no, I'm the wife. She's like, I'm the wife, I do that for you, and my mother taught me about cleaning and cooking and all this kind of stuff. And so, and she was like, she also told me, about other, like, my wifely duties, about, about having a baby. So she's pretty much telling him, you're not touching me. Like, when are we going to consummate this marriage or whatever? And she went to sit by him, and he moved away from her. And so he's uncomfortable. She's really young, and he gets up to go and take a smoke outside, and she's like, you can smoke in, here, it's your home, you can do whatever you please. And he's like, no, he don't want to. He wants to be away from her. So then we go to June is in the sitting room, and she's getting ready for bed, and Serena Joy comes in with her needlework, and she sits down and she starts working, and June is just like, why are you in here? And so Serena Joy is like, well, June tells her, I'll be okay. And Serena Joy says, no, if you need anything through the night, I want to make sure that you have everything you need. I want to be here. So Serena Joy, is just, so June is just like, okay. So then Serena Joy asks June, June, what is it like to be pregnant? What does it feel like to have that baby growing inside of you? And June tells her, would you like to touch? Would you like to feel? And so she goes over and she feels and everything. And then June then Serena Joy has a flashback. So she flashes back to when she was in the college. They went. She flashes back to when she had to give a speech at this college, and the commander, she's reciting her speech, going over her speech, rehearsing it, and the commander is like correcting her all up and down. Like everything she says, he has something better that she should say. But he needs her because she is the only, like, the reason they're going to get this pushed out there is because she has the platform to be able to do it, because she was very successful before she got with him. So she has the platform that they need to get this out there. And so so her assistant comes and gets her, and they're introducing her and everything, and the crowd is not having it because they're at this university and they know they're trying to take away their rights, and so they're calling them Nazis and they're calling them all kinds of names, and they don't even let her get her speech out. They start throwing things, and she has to be rushed off the stage, and the president or dean or whatever, and he's saying to the Commander Waterford, Mrs. Waterford, maybe this wasn't a good idea. And Mr. Waterford is like, she's able to speak, she should be able to speak. This is America, which that's crazy because they didn't want it to be. They use that part of America, but they don't want it to be America. They want it to be Gilead. So anyways, you go with that. So then June wakes up in the middle of the night, and she's thirsty, so she gets up to get a drink. And the commander is there. He's having a little snack. So she goes and gets water, and she comes, and they're at this large table, and she asks him, "Are you mad at me?" And he's like, "Why would you say that?" And she said, "Because you haven't spoken to me since I've been back." And he tells her, no, he's not mad at her or anything. He's just been busy, which he has been busy, because he's trying to get Rachel and Leah's center up and going. He's trying to move up in the ranks. So he has been busy. Plus, he's kind of avoiding the whole Serena and June battle. So she tells him, he tells her, do you want something to eat? And she says, no, Aunt Lydia is really strict on her not gaining weight. She doesn't want her plump, being a roly-poly, I think she said. And he says he likes the way she looks. He likes the way she looks and everything, that, pregnancy suits her. So we know he's still liking June. And so they kind of share a little, with June, it's all about anything that she can use to help get out. So she shares this little moment with him, this little intimate moment, where he says, he's, missed her. She shares that little moment, and then she's leaving. And then, she tells him his wife has been really good and all that stuff. But, so they share that, and then June goes back to bed. And then they cut to June picking up her bed that next morning. June is making up her bed because, she's sleeping in the sitting room on the couch. And Nick's wife comes in, and she asks, is Mrs. Waterford around? And June is like, no. And do you need something? And so she's like, no, but she was going to talk. She's a talker. Well, maybe I am too. But then, anyways, so June, Nick's wife, Eden, says that she does not think Nick is attracted to her. And June is like, why do you say that? And she says, because he still hasn't been intimate with her. He won't touch her. And so June is like, June knows why. She knows why he won't touch her. But June is just like, just give it some time. And she says, no, I think he doesn't like me. I think he thinks I'm, unattractive. He thinks I'm ugly. And June is talking to her like a grown woman would talk to a 15-year-old. Because at the end of the day, that's what she is. She's a child. And she's like, you're not ugly. But so then it is like, well, he won't touch me, so I'm afraid that he might be a gender traitor. And June is like, he's not a gender traitor. But So then June gets called away, but they have this conversation where June is trying to convince her that, it's okay if he doesn't want to touch you. You guys get to know each other, and then you'll get more comfortable. And she was like, but it's God's plan that we have babies. And June is just like, it's okay. I don't think God would mind you waiting, but this girl is headstrong on having this baby. So then June leaves, and I think Lil Eden is conniving, and she did that on purpose because she wants June to talk to him. I think she knows what's going on as well. But anywho, Serena calls June away, and when June goes to the kitchen, there's a surprise. It's 4 other handmaids, including OfGlen. So they are there, and Serena tells them to relax. She wants them to be like normal women for a moment, where they can just eat and talk and just have a nice time, because she wants June happy. So then Serena Joy is trying to get them to talk, so she's going around serving them this little quiche dish, and she makes a comment to OfGlen, do you miss your companion? Talk like you guys. What do you guys talk about on your walks? And then she pauses because she remembers OfGlen has lost her. They cut her tongue out. So then June starts talking about this restaurant, or this, I guess it was like a restaurant. I can't think of the word, but she starts talking about this place, eatery, where they could go and they had these omelets or whatever, this breakfast eatery, I guess. And Serena remembers it, and she was like, they have the really good banana nut pancakes. And she said, maybe we were there at the same time. She tells June, wouldn't that be serendipity? And it's awkward. But then June feels the baby kick, and she's like, the baby's kicking, someone's awake. And she asks OfGlen, would she like to touch? And OfGlen says yes. And then she tells the other 3 handmaids they can touch as well. And so they start having more. It's more like they forget their handmaids is what it is. And so Serena Joy is happy about that. So she leaves, and she goes to her greenhouse, and you could see Serena Joy, what she's done has made her happy, because it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it made her happy because she knows that making the baby June happy is making the baby happy, and she's just ready for a happy, healthy baby. So then let's see what page I'm on. So then Serena Joy does a flashback when she's in the greenhouse, and in her flashback they're trying to get her out of the building, but as they're trying to get her out of the building, Commander Waterford is like, you have to give your speech. And they're like, Commander, I think she should go. And he's like, no, she's going to give this speech. So he pumps her up. So she starts giving her speech. And we learned that in the past 12 months, 61% of the babies have not made it. They've died. Pregnancy rate has declined. And so then they tell her, sorry, my sister is texting me, so I'm just going to tell her where Hershey's is, because my family, Hershey's is really likes to jump, and they sometimes don't want to come over because she likes to jump all over them. So then they find out that, and so she's 61%, and so she's telling the women, we have to do our duties. Like, this is going to be great for all of us because it's going to get us with children. She's really preaching Gilead, and she's pumped because she finally got to get her speech out. Oh, even though they were still hating her, a few people were cheering. And so they're leaving out, and her assistant is like, Twitter is going crazy. And it's so crazy for them to use those words, because you realize that all of this happened just like that. As far as, like, it's not like they're still in our day and age and time and everything, which is crazy to think that. So then all of a sudden you hear 2 shots ring out, and her assistant is shot and she's down, and then Serena is shot in her lower stomach, and so then we go to they're trying to figure out, trying to get them to safety. So then that's that episode. So then Serena flash forward, and we see her showing June the nursery. So the nursery is real cute. And she's she's a proud mother, and she's like, I'm gonna be a good mother and all of this. And so June shares a story that when they were had Hannah, she and her husband, she said, we put stars and everything on the ceiling, and my husband would go and tell us what the stars were and all of that. And it was a nice moment. And then June tells Serena Joy that she would like to see Hannah, and Serena Joy, they both have tears in their eyes, because Serena Joy is like, no, because I guess she feels like, if you, I thought we were getting close, but you're still thinking about that past life, and she doesn't want her to see Hannah, because I think Serena Joy doesn't want June to feel an attachment to this baby, or any of that. Like, she doesn't want her to feel that. Plus, she feels like, she feels like she thought they were getting close, and here goes June asking for something. And so June is upset, because she feels like Serena Joy is so unreasonable. Like, you've taken everything from me, and all I'm asking to do is just have a few moments with Hannah. I won't tell anyone, and you can't even give me that. So then we cut to June going, Serena Joy tells June, get out the sitting room, go on back upstairs, because she's mad again. So then we go to Nick coming into the sitting room, where June is packing up all of her stuff, and he's like, what happened? What's going on? And she tells him, she thought Serena Joy would be reasonable, but won't even let her see Hannah. And Nick is like, she's not gonna do that, but we'll find a way. And she says, not if you're on the wall, so you need to sleep with Eden. And he's like, she's 15, which and he's like, she's 15, he doesn't want to. And she was like, and June is just like, oh, you gotta sleep with someone you don't want to? Welcome to my world. I had to do, I slept with someone I didn't want to, or whatever. And so she's like, if you don't sleep with her, she's going to report you, and you're no good to me, dead. Like, that's pretty much what she's telling him. You're not good to me, dead. So go ahead and take one for the team and sleep with her. Y'all know I'm paraphrasing. I like to do it. So go ahead and take one for the team and sleep with this girl. So we can get you will stay alive, because she is going to tell on you if you do not sleep with her. She all that stuff and I think Nick, I don't know what Nick did with those letters either from the episode. He needs to get rid of them, because if this little girl finds those letters, yeah. So then, he tells June, that he loves her. She tells him she can't lose him. Like, she cannot lose him, because she does have feelings for him. And so she's walking out, and she tells him that, he tells her that he loves her, and she says, you have a wife. She's your wife. So then, she walks up to her room, and she closes the door, and she's upset or whatever, because she loves Nick. But, she's just upset about her whole situation. So then we go, to Nick, who is now sleeping with his wife because he has to. So she has a sheet over her, and it has a hole in it. And I was like, why does this sheet have a hole? Because I'm dense sometimes when it comes to that. I was like, why does this sheet have a hole? And so then the girl has the sheet over her, and Nick pulls it, and then he gets on top of her, and I was like, okay. That's why it has a hole in it. So they never actually touch as far as, chest to chest like that, because of the sheets between them. But he does go ahead and have sex with her, and she's, so that whole scene happens, and then she says, I wonder if I got pregnant. If not, we'll just keep trying. And Nick is just like, because he doesn't, I think the last thing he wants to do, well, first of all, he doesn't want to touch her, because he's thinking the American way, where this is this is like a pedophile. He's like a pedophile for doing this. But in Gilead, he's not, because, in Gilead, he's not. So anyways, that's the end of that scene, which I was okay with them not showing too much on that. So then we go to Rita. The commander goes into the greenhouse, because that's where Serena Joy is, and she's like, Rita tells me you've been out here all day, and she says Rita needs to mind her business. And she tells the commander, he tells her he knows June is difficult, and she lets him know that every time she thinks like it's going to be okay, June asks for something. She's so manipulative and conniving, and she wanted to see Hannah. She tells him she wanted to see Hannah, and she cuts herself as she's, fussing. She's messing with these roses, and she cuts herself, and he says, let me see, does it hurt? And she says no, and he was like, even if it did hurt, you would never say it. And he says, my wife is always so strong, and I pray to God that I'm worthy of it every day. And then they have a flashback to where Serena Joy is in the hospital, and in the hospital, the commander is putting together, a statement, and now she's the one correcting him. It's like their roles reversed, and now she's the one that you see is more dominant in the relationship, and she's correcting him because he feels guilty because he did push her to keep giving the speech, to stop and give the speech, so he's feeling a little guilty for having done that. And she is she's correcting him, and then he says, he's sorry, and she tells him, don't be a weak man. and I think that's set up their relationship now where they're dynamic now. And so then we cut to that he finds the guy who tried to kill Serena Joy, and he has a wife. He had a wife. So he tells him, do you know what it's like for you to see your wife, and hurt, and you can't do anything about it? So then he shoots his wife, and he says, now you know. And so the commander is like, after he does it, it looked like he wanted to break down for a minute, but then he pulled himself together, and then so this is, I think, is the commander that you get now. So then we cut to June's room. So the commander comes into June's room, and she was like, you shouldn't be here. And he was like, that's not the welcome I was expecting to get. And she was like, your wife would be upset if you were here. And he tells her, I thought my wife would be, be able to handle this, be able to work stuff out, be reasonable, but I see that she can't, so I'm going to step in, which again is what Aunt Lydia had told him in the beginning. So he gives June a picture of Hannah. And so June sees it, and she's so, she's happy to have any little thing. And he realized that because remember, Serena Joy had told him that she had wanted to see Hannah. So then, my sinus is acting up today. Sorry about that, y'all. So then, he starts to touch June's stomach, and he tells her he likes the changes that have been made to her body, and he's missed her, and she's like, she missed him too. And so then he tells her he wants her, and so he starts, trying to kiss her and everything, and he wants to be intimate with her, and she's like, I want you, but because of the baby, I don't think we should. And he was like, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. And so she holds his hand, and then they leave, and then she holds on to the photo because, she's doing all of this because she wants to be with her child. So she's going to do whatever she has to do to get the commander on her side. So then the next scene we cut to is the commander. He's welcoming the other commander. He welcomes Andrew, and he says, the place looks, Andrew lets the commander know the place looks great. You did a great job. And so, the commander thanks him, and then Andrew starts walking up the stairs, and Nick is there. And when Nick sees Andrew, he goes to him and he says he wants to be reassigned. Excuse me. And the commander is like, Nick is just like, I'll go anywhere. And the commander is saying like, what? And Andrew is telling him, pretty much why. And he's saying that he hasn't told the commander everything about Commander Waterford and what's going on in that house, and he has to get out of the house because Andrew was like, you just got married and all that, and Nick is like, mm-mm. And so Andrew is telling him, yes, he'll do it for him, and everything. So that is that as far as Andrew and Nick. Okay, so then we go to June, and June is picking over her food, And Serena Joy tells her to eat, and she says she's not hungry. So she tells Rita, come and get the food and wrap it up and everything. So then June will eat it all later. So then Eden comes in, and she tells Mrs. Waterford, is there anything that I can do for you? And she says, oh, you're so, you're so pleasant. You're so... She wished June was more like that. But she tells Eden, people have to know the rules of the households, or the roles in the household. So she takes one of her needles and she drops it, and Eden is about to pick it up, and she says, no, you're a married woman of good faith and value and all of that, and you want to run your own household one day. And so, learn from me. And she says, the handmaid will get that, because she's supposed to be of low value and everything, which is why she's a handmaid. So June goes over and she goes and picks it up, and Eden's is like, So she goes and picks it up, and then she tells June gives it to Mrs. Waterford, and Mrs. Waterford gives the needle to Eden and tells Eden to drop it. And Eden is pretty much like, what? She didn't want to do it. And Mrs. Waterford says, well, if you want to run your own household, you have to learn, you have to put people in their place. And so Eden turns to June with the needle, and June nods her head, because Eden, I don't know if she was going to do it or not, but she was really not wanting to do it. So June nods her head and tells Eden, it's okay. So Eden drops it, and then June tells Mrs. Waterford, I felt a cramp. We don't want to, with the baby, we don't want to upset the baby or get the, and it's again reminding Mrs. Waterford that, no, I'm not going to do this. And two, you want this baby, Hannah's good, your baby's good. You want your baby to be good, then I have to stay good. So she's using the baby as an excuse not to pick it up. And Mrs. Waterford's like, of course, and all that. So that is the end. And then June goes to her room, and she goes and she gets the photo that Commander Waterford gives her, and she's just looking at that. So then we go to the actual event to open up Rachel and Leah for the Handmaids. And so we see all these rapists, commanders out there, just sitting down listening to Commander Waterford, and he's telling them about the center and how they'll be able to convert so many more handmaids and all of this information. So the commanders are all sitting down. The handmaids, there's one set of handmaids on the outside of the building looking in, because it's a glass building, and then there's another set of handmaids upstairs, and they're inside the building, but they're upstairs standing. So all the handmaids and everything are standing. And then OfGlen breaks out of line, and she starts walking, and other handmaids are like looking like, what are you doing? And so she goes inside of the building, and she walks in front of the handmaids, because it's glass, and she holds up her hand, and you see that there's like a device in her hand. And so Commander Waterford is like, we're not ready for them now. Tell her to leave the building. He's like, what is she doing? Get her out the building. And so then she kind of shows the handmaids what she has in her hand, which is like a device for a bomb. So the handmaids on the outside start running because they realize what's about to go down. So then OfGlen turns around and she starts running towards the Commander Waterford, the middle of the building, and she clicks the switch, and the whole building the bottom floor just blows, like it's fire comes out, and the handmaids up top, you can see that they get slammed back into the wall. They probably didn't make it. I don't think anybody in that building probably made it. But the handmaids outside look like they're okay. And so that's how the episode ended. And I was like, ooh, that's good. And I wanted more, but that's how the episode ended. Like, this was a good episode to me. Dang, my review is long. I don't know why my review... It's like they keep giving so much information. And I try to give you all, because I know some of y'all don't have Hulu and you're watching and trying to get it all. So, sorry. But, the episode is really... I love this episode. I can't wait to the next episode. A sneak peek. I guess the Commander Waterford is dead. I'm assuming, I don't know how he could have made it, but they got another commander, and he does not believe that June was kidnapped. So Mrs. Waterford was like, we're going to have to convince him. So all that's going to go down on the next episode. I cannot wait. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode. What did you guys think about as far as the dynamic between Serena and June on this episode, and how it just flipped. It's like Serena Joy just flipped the switch on June. But tell me what you guys think. What do you think about the commander, and maybe he's not in the future episodes, like maybe he died? Well, I'm pretty sure he died, but you never know about TV. What do you guys think about that? I enjoyed this episode. Again, thanks for all the comments and everything. I hope you guys have a great day. I am doing another review. So on the one I told you about last week. So have a great day. Bye.